Welcome in. This is the Second Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and we are mega preview potting the Valspar Championship storylines, best bets, and the one and done. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. Gregors, good to see you.
Gentlemen, good to be here. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you.
Oh, yes.
I see everyone's wearing their green today, which is great.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm only teasing. I just put a green shirt on right before we started.
If you're only listening, we're all wearing green.
Yeah.
But great to be here. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this week. This is a really strong field here at the Valspar.
Mark Immelman is here. Hello, Mark.
What's up, boys? What is the story with green? Because I'm not Irish, and I'll tell you a quick anecdote. It was a few years ago at Bay Hill, because Bay Hill, the Arnold Palmer event, then clashed or corresponded with St. Patrick's Day. Lo and behold, I got Rory on St. Patrick's Day, and he wasn't wearing green. And I was like, dude, what's up? And he goes, why? And I'm like, apparently you're supposed to wear green today. And he looked at me and goes, why? I'm like, it's St. Patrick's Day. And he goes, oh. And he goes, yeah, it's not really a big deal with us. So I'm like, okay, well, it's more of a big deal here in the United States than anything else.
It does feel more like a Hallmark generated holiday, but here's the AI overview, which is 100% right all the time. So St. Patrick's Day is green, primarily due to Irish nationalism, the nickname the Emerald Isle, and the association with the Shamrock. So it's just kind of been associated, but I do think that is much more of a American centric celebration than it is.
And green beer tonight.
Yes, green beer. That's really what this all comes down to.
And there's this dude in the chat goes, green is to represent how Oberg felt after back-to-back water bowls. Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad.
Greg, I got to tell you this, because at this stage, it's final round. I've had Oberg for 2 rounds, and it's coming down to it there. And I'm realizing that Ludwig is Rick's one and done pick. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, like a little leprechaun, Rick pops up there next to the rope line. And my daughter Izzy, apparently, I've got to tell you, Rick, my 2 kids love the game, and it's just by the by.
It is mutual. We had, quick sidebar, we had a lovely family dinner, Immelman Gehman style, Sunday night, and it was just excellent, exceeded all expectations.
It was lots of fun. Anyhow, so Rick pops up, and I look at him, I'm like, hey, Rick, you got Ludwig, right? And he goes, yep. And I'm like, well, I hope he continues to hit the ball in the water because of the one and done league. And you see him shaking his head. No, that's exactly what he did to me. And he walked along with us for a bit, then he disappeared. So I don't know where he went. Maybe to learn what was happening to his boy.
Yeah, I went to find the closest toilet so I could, take care of it. Yes, it was. You know how bad it is doing these podcasts with Mark in a one and done scenario. To be actually standing next to him as your guy is coughing it up is not great.
So you mean to tell me that all this time Rick has Ludwig and Mark's on the call? I mean, that's a conflict of interest.
Well, actually, it is a conflict of interest.
I was, back in South Africa, my brother and because in South Africa, all league matches have alternate shot foursomes in the morning and singles in the afternoon. And Trevor played with this guy, Jean, and they were they didn't lose a match for 4 years. They were like the original Cantlay-Shoffley combination. And so the one day they're joking with me because I coached the both of them. And so they're going out for the match, and Jean wasn't playing very well. And he goes, hey, Mark, no worries. I got Trevor. He can hit the drives because Jean was driving it crooked. And then he goes, and we always just look in our opponent's ear. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, no, for real, you got to do this. When our opponent is putting, we both stare directly into his ear hole and we talk to his brain. So I'm like, John, you serious? He goes, I'm serious. And so the 2 of them, so I was looking in Ludwig's ear the entire final round there, and it worked.
Wow. Didn't you do this with Russell Henley back in the day?
Yes.
I don't know. It doesn't work. But I was kind of green that he didn't win either. I got to admit, because dang, he was playing well, and it was so thrilling to watch. And he hit some shots, and I felt like, look, you earn your play. You don't back into players' championship wins. You got to earn it. And kudos to Cam Young, because that was a sensational finish, and for hanging around, not having his best stuff. So bravo, man. But Ludwig, wow, That was fixing, as they say down here, to be a great Players Champion.
Yeah, fantastic finish one way or another. Cam Young, well deserved. I always love. I mean, I kind of had forgotten, Greg. I got caught up in the moment of, oh wow, it was the longest shot that was ever hit on the 18th hole, and he does it with all the pressure, and he's tied for and all this stuff. I had kind of forgotten until I was on the plane this morning that he hit it in the water there the day before.
Yeah.
So he is now standing on the tee, moment of his life, with the most recent memory of hitting it in the water, and he steps up there and rips the longest shot ever, just pure as could be. I was just the stones on that guy.
I loved what he said in his presser about it. He said, I just told myself I'm going to hit the shot of my life here. And he did. The other cool thing is, after he hit it in the water Saturday, he was not overly upset. He said he was actually like bending down to pick up his tee. He thought it was pretty good, and it ended up in the water. So I don't think he was as spooked as some may be in that situation. It felt like he knew what he was going to do, and that was more of a fluke on Saturday. Yeah, but just the birdie on 17. I mean, even the par on 16. It was an incredible finish for him.
I gotta say this: you can stand on that tee and say to yourself, "I'm going to hit the best tee shot of my life." But that fairway looks like a ribbon, man. I'll tell you what,
it really does.
And then there's a crosswind. And then you data nerds must be like, oh, this is so incredible because it's the longest drive from what I hear in the measurement era down 18. So, I mean, what a time to show up and just freaking tattoo one there down the waterline drawing. It was incredible shot.
Yeah, it was awesome. We don't have a ton of new storylines going into Valspar, but there's a couple of questions here that I think are kind of relating to the conversation we are having. So this is from Patreon. So Matthew sends over a question, and I'll just kind of summarize it a bit here. It's in regards to how many of the top players and many players in general have switched to a mallet style putter. For example, really Ludwig is one of the only few guys at the top of the game that are still using the blade. And he goes on to ask about the data side of it, which is, something I can address later. But Greg, I want to start with you on this. It really is, I don't even want to say it's a trend anymore because it's almost a staple at this point that having a kind of a big mallet is coming with a lot of popularity and for a lot of guys, a lot of success.
Yes, it's and in regards to all the players winning with mallets, it is about 83% of the tour, somewhere between 80 and 83% of tour players are using a mallet. Of course, they change week in and week out, and some guys do go back, but for the most part, it's a large majority of players that are using a mallet now. I think back to what Ben Griffin said last year. He looked at the stats and thought he had a pretty good putting year and realized he was the low blade putter, the best blade putter. And he was like 18th in strokes gained putting or something around there. And then he made a switch and won in his first week with the mallet. So there are definitely advantages. I think, to be honest, the tour players are actually still leaving a lot on the table with their putting in the regard that it's not just any mallet doesn't work. It has to be the right one for you. And that's a really important piece that I don't believe a lot of tour players really go through the process of finding the right putter for them. I think they do it a lot like what we do. That worked for Jimmy, so I'm going to give it a try. Oh, Rory just won with this putter. I'll give this one a try. We heard about this with Keegan and Ricky and Wyndham all going to the same putter. There's a little bit of that going on the PGA Tour still. And I think there's a next level coming soon, which is guys are going to start figuring out how to get properly fit for a putter. It's clear that Cam Young is in the right one for him.
I want to follow up on that, but Mark, before we do, what are the benefits of using a mallet versus a blade that has really started this significant movement? I would have guessed it was lower than 80%, but I guess I'm not surprised. That's a ton.
Well, it's pretty high, and it's not just the Spider, but TaylorMade. TaylorMade, if you're listening, you can sponsor the show.
Please.
Like Keith Mitchell, he and I last year in Scotland in the airport had the longest conversation about toe hang on a putter. Now, for the folks who don't know what that is, if you take your putter shaft and you balance it on your finger in the place where the club is balanced so it can balance itself, and then you just let go of the head, and if toe hang will mean the head hangs and points toward the ground, the toe does. So that's maximum toe hang. Sort of then you'll have a little bit less, and then if it's kind of sits level, then that's face balanced. And then you've got these putters on the other side of affairs where it's like the old it's the Axis 1 putters that Justin Rose was looking for a little while, where the toe actually points in the air. And now you've got Lab, which are zero torque putters, where the putter sits like completely level. And so Keith Mitchell was like, no, if my golf swing opens and closes, because the club face does, even if it's closed, when you turn back, it's pointing away from the target. So that means there's got to be some commensurate closing through there. He goes, so as long as my backswing opens and shuts, I want my putting stroke to go kind of the same way. And then he goes, because he used this old style Nick Faldo thing with a lot of toe droop for a while. And he practices without a grip on the putter as well, just for maximum feel, because Keith is an old school guy like that. Then he goes, and Tiger Woods, he practices right hand and lets the toe shut. He goes, so I like the toe to be able to move. So I saw him at the Bay Hill. Well, I saw him on TV because I was in the booth, and he had changed putters to something that was mallet based. Then I walked up to him on the practice round at the Players, and I was like, dude, have you gone over to the dark side? And he laughed. He goes, well, strangely, I'd been putting really well with the other one, but then I found this was an old one I used to use when I was a kid. And it was a Titleist model of like a spider-shaped kind of a mallet putter. And he goes, and I've just found that from short range, I'm better. And he said, I found I was making a lot of 15, 20 footers with the other one. But from the inside 8 feet, that strokes gain sort of zone, he goes from 5 to 8 feet. I wasn't very good. Because on very, very fast greens, with that toe having to close a little bit, you don't have the time in your stroke when you're swinging so softly, like at Bay Hill, to be able to manage that. So that's where if you have something that's more face balanced, like a Spider or like a zero torque, like a Lab, there's no need to really manipulate the face or manage the face's movement, I should say. So anyway, so he's like, I just wanted to get better from like 8 feet and in. Now, personally, and this is conversations with my brother, who always struck the ball well, would sort of struggle on the greens. He's got just a garage full of putters. And we were down there one time, and he and I were talking over like glasses of wine and stuff. And he goes, man, Jacob's distance control on the greens is terrible. And Jacob is his son. And I was like, it's the same thing with my daughter, Izzy. And then so we start talking why, right? And then so he says to Izzy, he goes, come with me. And so he takes her in the garage and he gives her a red Spider. And he goes, I believe this will help you with your lag putting, distance control. And I believe the reason why is because with those putters, there's more margin for covering up a mishit. Because if you have something that's like an answer style or something like that, if you toe or heel that thing, it comes off with nothing. It's sort of like a blade iron. But that mallet head forgives the misstrike from long range a bit more, so distance control becomes better. And as distance control becomes better, you eliminate 3-putts. So I feel like it's the 3-putt avoidance thing from range. And then it's personally too, because some of the mallets have those long lines on them, so they're easier to aim. So there's a number of things, but I would say the main thing is just kind of disguising a misstruck putt when you're making a longer swing and you're hitting something from range.
I find this really fascinating because I've gone through a handful of mallets and over the last couple of years. And I think, Greg, for me, a lot of it is Mark's last point in alignment. Like I want the putter to sit flat and I don't have to really manipulate it. It's a lot easier to line up. But when you say that you don't think tour players are going through the proper fitting process for their putters, that perks my ears up, right? These guys are trying to squeeze every ounce of everything. So what are they not doing that they could be doing? How many different variables are there as opposed to one that just, hey, this looks good to my eye?
Well, it's really a limitless list. It's an extremely long list. When you talk about putter fitting, there's a couple different ways to do it. There's, of course, length and lie and loft and things like that, which are, if you go to most places to get fit for a putter, those are the kind of things they'll be looking at. What many miss is the importance of aim. And, we always think of aim as something that you practice, right? You put alignment sticks down or putt through a gate or something like that. And all of a sudden you learn how to aim the putter. You can do it that way. But what we've found is that it's extremely important to have a putter with the correct length, the correct length, the correct aiming mechanisms, even the correct color of lines or sight lines for aiming. You may aim a putter with a white line better or a black line better. You might aim a putter with a T set up on it better. You might do better with a channel.
Some guys don't have anything at all.
Some guys don't have anything at all.
Ugh, I hate those guys.
Like Jordan Spieth. Jordan probably sees the face perpendicular to where he wants to start it. So he doesn't really need a vertical line. I've actually putted that way.
Yeah, but then he stands and he's half the time he's looking at the hole.
He's not even looking, so he doesn't need alignment, right?
What does someone once say to me is like, Jordan Spieth is an enigma wrapped in a mystery. Because you can't really ever define what he does.
Yeah, it's a good point. And if you see someone looking at the hole, there's probably been some issues there. He solved them in many cases, but yeah, there are probably some issues there. So all of those things, Rick, affect the way you aim a putter. The neck type affects not only the toe hang, like Mark was just talking about, which is a huge factor. It can affect the aim. Even the shoes that you wear can have an effect on the aim. I haven't really looked at this, but it just popped into my head. Patrick Cantlay switched shoes not long ago.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's played well ever since.
Oh, from the ground up.
From the ground up. There are
Rick's gained shoe game, Rick.
I'm adding it to the database right now.
Yeah.
Seriously, one of the things that we do if anyone comes in for a putting lesson, you have to wear your shoes, your golf shoes, because it's extremely important. Like shockingly important when you wear different shoes, how it affects your ability to aim and make putts. So, go to the pro shop and bring your credit card because you need it all. But the point is, I hear countless stories about tour players with kind of like Trevor. They have a garage full of putters. They go down and pick one up and it feels good, or they hit a putt with a buddy's putter like Morikawa and it feels good, and they get one of their own, or they get that one or something like that. And there's an element of randomness to it, but there is a way to dial it in and make it more effective. And I don't hear very many stories like that coming from the PGA Tour, to my surprise.
The one thing that I did it once, it was years ago, I should probably do it again, is I was kind of going through like a little putter fitting, and they put a little laser right on kind of the front of my and of my putter face, and they're like, okay, like, line up at that target over there, whatever it was, 12, 15 feet out, line up like you're gonna hit this putt, and don't pull the trigger, tell me when you're ready. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. And they flipped the laser on, and I'm like 6 inches left of that target. Yeah. And I'm like, I thought I was dead on that thing. And, they could tweak it from there. But that was always the one thing that stood out to me, is like, yeah, I might not even be lining this up correctly.
I mean, I've even seen guys line up incorrectly with a line on the ball. Yeah. They line the ball up and their putter is not aimed where the line on the ball is. And that creates difficulties, especially with the margins the guys on tour are putting with.
It's crazy talk, but I love it.
We could go for it. We could really go forever on this, because I know a number of elite players who use a line on the ball. And sometimes when you step over the line and the line on the ball, which you've aimed the ball first, and then it just doesn't look right.
Doesn't look
And
right.
then you get down there and you readjust it. I know guys, I won't use their names, where they're like, screw it, I'm just going anywhere. It's
Yeah.
yeah, and then they'll make it. And I know this for certain because John Graham, who to me is the best putting coach on tour, and you can give me Phil Kenyon and stuff. John Graham is excellent, and he and I have had multiple conversations. In fact, Rick, when you and I connected earlier last week, I just come off the course with him, and he was working with one of his guys, and he started asking me questions about putting under pressure. So we have these conversations all the time. And he goes, "Oh, everyone I test, there's one or other aiming bias because of which is a dominant eye, because of how they hit the golf ball, all that sort of stuff. So it flows throughout the bag. And you put a laser on people, and all of them, usually to a man, go, 'Holy cow, I'm aiming that crooked.'" That's why Harvey Pennock said, "Take dead aim." It sounds trite, but it's true. Aim the club face, not your body.
On John Graham real quick. He told me that basically with the line on the ball, if you were in that situation where when you line it up, it looks one way, when you step over it, it looks a different way, that player shouldn't use a line on the ball.
Oh,
If you line it up and stand
me.
over it and it looks the same, a line on the ball will help you. I thought that was fascinating, the way that he broke it down.
That happens to me all the time. And I have to decide whether I have to trust the line that I set up or to make micro adjustments while I'm standing over it. So I'm probably a candidate
just
to
push it a little bit.
Yeah, or just like, okay, now use that line as a reference and just kind of line my line up just a little bit off of that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that works well for you.
Let me tell you, it doesn't. So maybe I should just stop with the line altogether. Speaking of lines, how about this field we've got this week, gentlemen? I'm looking at the top of the board. Xander Schauffele is in this field. He's about 10-1 to win. Matt Fitzpatrick, Victor Hovland, Akshay Bhatia, all 20-1 or shorter. And then they're lining up right after that. Cantlay, Justin Thomas, Jacob Bridgman, Jordan Spieth, Brooks Koepka, Ben Griffin, all 30-1 or shorter. So the way that I see this, Mark, is that it is a very evenly fair top of the board with no real guy running away as a favorite and about 24 that are very much in the mix.
The way I see it is Brian Rolap's going to have to go, oh, shucks, for the 2027 season, it looks like Valspar is a candidate for one of the bigger events. No, just kidding. But, that's still fresh in my mind with all of the conversations last week. Look, to me, this event's always been great. It's truly this Copperhead course at Innisbrook is a course that you got to hit the ball accurately around there. I don't care who you are. When you bring game, you've got to come and strike the golf ball, because if you don't, you're going to fire. You're not going to hemorrhage, scores on your scorecard. You're just going to make a number of bogeys. And you can see a guy who hits the ball pretty solidly for a while walk out there 2 or 3 over par. And it's just because there's been 1 or 2 short sides, 1 or 2 fairways missed. And a lot of holes, it's kind of crazy where the camber of the ground, and it's hilly for Central Florida, where the camber of the ground goes in the opposite direction of the dogleg. So you've got a dogleg right to left, and the fairway tilts from left to right. So you got to be able to control spin too to get the ball to sort of hit the ground softly. And when that plays firm, it's difficult. And when it doesn't play firm, it's pretty difficult. So it's a good venue. And when people go there the first time, they're like, shucks, I don't know why I've been skipping this, because it's a worthwhile event. It truly is.
Well, I think it does get rave reviews from players and fans alike, Greg. It is, if it is being skipped, it is, I assume, mostly a scheduling thing. We are very much now in sprint mode, right? We've had a handful of signature events already, including Bay Hill and the Players Championship. We're going to close out the Florida swing. We're going to go to Texas, and then we're going to go. It's just going to be every month. There's going to be a ton of events. So it is kind of one of the last few spots to catch your rest before you start doing that, which I assume is the only reason most of these guys are skipping it, because Mark is right. It does get great reviews.
Yes. And this is all, you got to balance what's coming up next, because, Masters is right around the corner. And so you got, between the Players and the Masters, you have 3 events, and you're going to play something, and you're not going to play them all. So where are you going to kind of tack that on? You're going to play in Florida. Are you going to take 2 weeks off? Are you going to play in Florida, take Houston off, play Valero, play Masters? And then you also have another signature event immediately after the Masters. So it becomes a very tricky kind of puzzle piece. I do think part of the reason this tournament always gets a strong field is the fact that there are 3 non-signature events in a row right before the Masters. So players this is the way the PGA Tour used to be. You'd mix it up. Some guys would play a certain schedule. Some guys would take a slightly different tact, and you'd kind of get a smattering of the best players at every single event. We've lost that in many cases, an event like the Cognizant, because you're just jammed in on both sides. Here, you're not. There are 2 weeks you could take a break after. I think that really helps the field. One other thing on the lines you were mentioning here, Rick, I find it fascinating. You get someone like Victor Hovland to win last year. Sam Burns in 2022 was 17th in the world. So you've had 2 top 20 players win. Then you've had Peter Malnati, who was 184th in the world. Taylor Moore was 103rd. And the first time Sam Burns won, he was 94th in the world. Just a fascinating number of possibilities that can, if you're going to get long shots or favorites, I don't know. But we've had a mix of both in the past, that's for sure.
Well, since we don't know, we should probably just try to make some picks and see what happens. I'm sure nothing could possibly go wrong with this. So we're going to release the grid. Now, if you've never seen this before, we make one matchup decision, one finishing position, and 2 separate outrights on the card. I ask Armina to release it, and she does it right now. Yes. Good job, Armina. Okay. We've got a variety on this grid. Oh, but a little bit of overlap that has me excited to talk about. Mark, why don't you kick us off with your matchup, please?
Well, I bet against Matt Fitzpatrick last week in a matchup because I was disappointed with the performance at the API out of him in the one and done league. So I came up with my punitive, whatever it was, all P's alliteration pick, and that didn't work out. It turned out to be pathetic to run on the P's.
Nice.
But I'm gonna thank you. I'm going to still pick on him this week, and he's favored over Jacob Bridgman, which I feel like is dangerous. And if you're anyone who's wanting to look at something where I don't think a lot of people are going to bet on, I would go with Jacob Bridgman over Matt Fitzpatrick. Various reasons. Bridgman, Rick, Greg, on Wednesday, I took out Shuttle Boy. His name's changed, by the way.
That's Patrick.
That's Patrick. He's not Big Boy anymore. He's Shuttle Boy now. So with Shuttle Boy, Rick, and me, and we walked the golf course backwards because that's how I like to look at this stuff. And we got to number 7, which is always a difficult tee shot. And it was good golf watching because we were right off the tee, and a lot of groups came through there, including a group of Ryan Gerard, Ben Griffin, Matt McCarty,
yes,
and Jacob Bridgman. So the first 3 guys hit, and then I was chatting with Jacob because I hadn't seen him since the victory at Riviera. And he's chit-chat, and he's telling me, he goes, I haven't really come down. It's so exciting winning at Tigers Place, this blah, blah, blah stuff. So they're like, it's your turn. So he gets up there, tee in the ground, driver, just blitzes one dead straight down the middle of the fairway. And I should have known then that maybe I should change my one and done pick, but I didn't because I don't want to get ridicule from you guys. And then
it worked, Rick.
It does work.
We got him.
Yeah. Even Mina's in on the freaking thing, and she's nice.
Exactly.
Anyway, I digress. And then he played really well last week because this guy is so accurate, and he's a tremendous putter. Now, if you want a recipe for success at the Copperhead Course, hit it in the fairway and putt well. And Jacob Bridgman does that. And I'm going with him at plus 125 over Matt Fitzpatrick. That's my matchup for the week.
I like it a lot, Mark. You'll see why in just a few minutes. I am trying to fade a baby coming. Austin Smotherman's wife, I believe, is due on Monday. Hopefully she waits till Monday and everything is nice and healthy. But I'm going Austin Smotherman over Davis Thompson, not David Thompson, but Davis Thompson. I love the way that Smotherman is playing. He is just purely flushing it. And the 2 times that he's played here, he's putted quite well. Who was it that was winning? This was like 15 years ago, winning a golf tournament, maybe after 36 or 54, went home for baby, never won again. Hunter Mahan? Did he do that?
Did he do that?
No.
I don't know.
I think I will have to look this up. I think Hunter Mahan had like a 5 or 6 shot lead going into the weekend. Got the call that his wife was going into labor. He said, I'm out of here. And I don't think he ever contended again after that.
You know, I have a similar story. My wife was pregnant and in Florida. We both were in Florida at the time. Well, I had moved up already like a month before back up to New York. And I had a U.S. Open qualifier on a Monday, the day she was going to drive back. And she convinced me to fly down there and drive her up. And I have not qualified for a U.S. Open since.
Wow. See what happens?
Yeah. Yep. That's what happens.
It was Hunter Mahan withdrew from the 2013, withdrew from the RBC Canadian while leading after 2 rounds to attend the birth of his first child.
Surely,
what year?
Surely he won after 2013.
All right, maybe I was being a little dramatic there. Let's find out.
I would stick with a story. You know, who needs facts?
Did he win at Ridgewood? He might have won at Ridgewood.
Yeah, he did. Barclays?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He won in 2014. So leave that part of the story out. It's a better story. It's a better story if he never stiffs contention again. But yeah, he did win the following year. That was his last win though. So doesn't add up.
It could have been Scotty Scheffler. Luckily, Meredith waited.
Well, there's another one on the way, and he hasn't been that good lately. I don't know. Just saying.
If Scotty never wins again, I don't know.
You might pull your hair out.
I got to wait a little bit till I can get a grip on it again, Mark. But yeah, there might be none left.
Greg, have you given us your matchup? I got distracted.
No, I have
Did you do that?
Justin Thomas plus 110 over Patrick Cantlay. And I blame the shoes for Cantlay.
No,
Yeah.
But I love Justin Thomas has the best record of anybody in this, anyone in this field at Innisbrook over the last 10 years. I think JT knows how to play this golf course. And from what I saw last week, there's no physical limitations. He's good to go. And as far as I'm concerned, he's cleared hot. I think he's a better play than Cantlay. So I got him, and he's at plus money. So JT plus 110 over Cantlay.
Smotherman over Thompson, JT over Cantlay, Bridgman over Fitzpatrick. Finishing positions of our choice. They are 2 top 20s and a top 40. Greg, I'll bounce it right on back to you. Your finishing position, please.
I got Nikolai Højgaard top 20 at plus 154. This guy is so good. And I'm not sure that the books, the general public, or maybe even his own finishing positions have really caught up to how good this guy is. But he's like 7th on the PGA Tour in strokes gained total. He's really good in every area. I mean, it's almost the whole season. He's gained strokes in every category, almost every event. It's been incredible. His best finish, however, is a T3. So he hasn't won yet, but everything's inside the top 30. The guy just continues to play well, and it still feels like he's building up towards something. So I'm actually, in my opinion, going conservative on him for a top 20.
Okay, well, him and my golfer, Rio Hisatsune, are very similar on the board because my top 20 is plus 162. One of the best tee to green players on tour this year. He's a volatile putter, -4, +4, -4, +4. His floor is still pretty high when he doesn't putt well, and when he does find a couple of strokes, it is dangerous. And I think now in a little bit of a weaker field, I think this goes very well for him. Top 20 for Rio. And Mark, you've gone farther down the board. You've got a top 40 for us, my friend. Who is it?
Yeah, because I'm nervous about 20s and stuff, because 1 or 2 bogeys on the PGA Tour and you'll go from playing the weekend to missing the cut. That's what it's coming to. And I just saw, look, maybe this is a makeup because you guys are in my head, and I was planning to use Johnny Kiefer, and then I used Shane Lowry, which was okay. So this is some Johnny Kiefer love over here, and I'm going with the top 440 plus 118. And I will say this: if you're looking for a guy who's like good, this man is good. I have not seen him play, but I've seen him hit. And if hitting is any sort of a what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. You use a lot of big words.
Yeah, metric to use. Then I'm a believer. So Johnny Kiefer, top 40 plus 118. Weird number, but plus 118.
He has finally done it, Greg. He has admitted we are in his head.
Yep.
Now,
well, it's interesting. Go ahead, Mark.
No, I'm just saying it because Mina said to me, she goes, listen, to add a little juice to the show, just go with the whole thing. You know, I'll start using funky emojis with you, and we'll make this some talking points for the chat. So I'm like, sure, I'm up for that.
She's saying it in your ear. Okay, Mark, admit it for the show.
It's all for the content. Kiefer top 40, Nikolai Højgaard top 20, Hisatsune top 20. Winners. We have a little bit of overlap, but that top of the board that we talked about, we've got it covered. A lot here, especially between the 19 and 26 range. We're going to do it the way we always do it, which is shortest first. That's Gregor's. Greg, your first pick to win, please.
The favorite, Xander Schauffele.
Yeah.
He's at somewhere around 10-1, 1050 here as I have him. Really been impressed with him. I don't know how he finished third last week. He did not have his best stuff over the weekend, and you look up and he's in third. And I'm very impressed by that. I think there's still a lot of dog in Xander Schauffele. What I've also seen the last 3 weeks out of Xander is an improvement in the short game. It's something that he's always been very good at, but for the last, there was a period of time towards the end of last season, beginning of this season, where his short game was just not on typical Xander Schauffele levels. Now he's gained strokes around the green in 3 straight events. We know how good his ball striking has been. I think Xander's starting to become the complete player that we're used to seeing, and that's a good thing around the Copperhead course. The best players in this field, like the winners, none of the last 5 winners have hit more than 50 greens in the week of their win. So that means you're going to have 22 scrambling opportunities at least. And I think Xander now is up for that challenge.
You're on mute, Mark.
Well, it was a good thing because I said something mean. No, but I was like, "Woo, Greg, you admitting that the short game is important to winning? I like it."
Yeah, here especially.
Greg, now just to return the favor, I'll pick on you here for a second. Where was it that you said Corey Connors was going to hit 66 degrees of regulation? Where was that?
60. Gee whiz, really?
I did say that a couple years ago.
Was he hitting the football fields for greens or what?
That was first cut lore.
Yeah, that was first cut lore. It was I always look at these numbers.
Kapalua, where was it? Massive green.
I don't think it was Kapalua, although that's a good spot for it. I feel like it was late in the summer, maybe at like a Rocket Classic or something.
I just always think about it when you say something like how many greens a guy's going to hit over 4 days. And I just think Corey Connors hits. Yeah. He actually did hit like 62 or something, but he missed like 7 on the first day and it was like drawing dead after that.
Oh, yeah. He's going to go perfect the rest of the way.
I think it was this. because that was KP time, right? So
Yeah.
I think Kyle was just throwing stuff at a wall, hoping it would stick, and you got wrapped up in the maelstrom of it all.
We were throwing just anything at the wall. Yeah, just stirring it up and see what we could find. That is Xander plus 1050, maybe 11-1. You might be able to find on Xander to win this week. Now, Mark, I'm looking for your pick, who is 19-1, please.
Yeah, Victor Hovland. I'm starting to see more and more out of Victor, where it looks like he's sort of primed to really put it together for 4 rounds. If the rumors are correct, he has fired the current golf swing instructor, which we were all sort of waiting for. But what I saw out of him last week, and certainly the week before at Bay Hill, looked pretty sharp. He's hitting that pull cut, which is kind of his deal. I saw some incredible shot link numbers that were sent to me about shape off the tee, and how the incidents of him hitting that cut shot off the tee were like way up there. I mean, it was a high percentage. I mean, pulling it off like 80% of the time. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're hitting 8 out of 10 the way you want to, then you're on your way. So, and I did notice too, then they had some metric where they were talking about a good one, how much the ball moved from side to side, and a bad one. And the dispersion between the bad and the good wasn't as big as I saw with a Michael Thorbjornsson with a draw, for argument's sake. So I feel like Vic is on the way, and he won year last year, so he's just crazy enough and beautiful enough to do the same thing.
Greg is admitting the short game matters. Mark is referencing shot link data reports. I don't know what this show has become anymore. We might have just run its course. Yeah, it might just run its course. We might be done. This show is just cooked.
Even fresh.
I will say on Hovland, Mark, which is interesting. There have been a couple instances of back-to-back winners here, with Sam Burns and Paul Casey recently, at least. So maybe you get a third in the trio.
Well, I may have to change my one and done pick that on Wednesday evening.
Do you remember when we had Coach all flustered and he went, "Give me Paul Casey"?
I remember that one. That became a drop, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it became a drop.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh man, lots of throwbacks in this one. Okay, that is Victor Hovland, 19-1. We've got a couple of different lines, but we'll take the longer line because we deserve it. So I'll go next. Jacob Bridgman, 23-1. This is I echo very much what Mark said. He gains about 75% of his strokes with the putter, which is normally a little bit concerning, but that is his weapon. And I've seen the way he hits it, and he's much improved. And I actually think that's pretty good here, where scrambling and getting up and down is going to be important. So I don't mind it one single bit. He's 23-1, which is the same number, Mark, of your second golfer. Who is it, please?
Justin Thomas. You know what, Greg, what's strange? If I had to wake you up in the middle of the night and go, what holds Justin Thomas back? You would say what?
I would say driving accuracy.
There you go. He's got one in the chamber that's going to hit out right, and it's going to turn into something bad. And I had his group maybe Friday, and he put an absolute driving clinic on. I mean, and not backing down either. And he was just teeing the thing up and swinging away, and the ball was coming out on the proper trajectory with power every single time. And yes, you're not going to need that around here, but I feel like JT's game almost plays off that, and he's got the low tee trajectory controlled one, and then he's got the high heat when he needs it. And so when I followed the group, his caddy, Matt Minister, and me, Rev and I are good friends. In fact, Rev owes me dinner still, but I'm holding it on him because when I walked into the coffee shop over the way from our hotel on Friday morning, I think it was, I bumped into Matt Minister. And he looks at me and he goes, "I owe you dinner." I'm like, "Yeah, you do owe me dinner." And so I'm like, so JT had just shot 68 in the first round. It was Friday morning. And I'm like, wow, that was nice given last week. And he looked at me, he goes, he's playing just the way he's been practicing. And I sort of giggled and I'm like, oh, really? And he goes, yeah, last week at Bay Hill, he didn't play like he'd been practicing. So what Rev's telling me is this guy, as all the work he's putting in, is bound to come to fruition. and it obviously did with a good showing at the Players, and he's had a good career, a good record here too. So I'm going JT to pull off a victory.
Fantastic result last week. It looked like vintage Justin Thomas. Greg, you and I have the same golfer on our grid to round this thing out, and it's one that I don't think has been on this grid in years. I think I can say that pretty confidently. Why don't you tell everybody who it is?
The only time it may have appeared on the grid is when we were looking for perfect grids.
Patrick, when Patrick was betting on Live.
Yeah, well, we were out there sourcing perfect grids, and we needed a second tournament.
Yeah, and Brooks Koepka may have been on there, but it certainly wasn't for a PGA Tour event. Look, this guy is, like, I think JT is like Mark. Like, all of a sudden he's back 1 week in. Brooks Koepka is back. And the really cool thing about Brooks Koepka now is what he said in his press conference last week at the Players. He said, hey, every event is special. And I really think he meant it. He's not looking at these tournaments like non-majors anymore. You know, he is back in Challenge Tour Brooks, earning his way back to the big events, and he's got a lot more money in his pocket, but I think he's viewing the game in a totally different light. And his ball striking has been sensational, which is what I love about it here. I think the putter has gotten to a manageable place. The short game has been pretty good. You know, every event except one, he's gained strokes around the green, and he hasn't needed it much because he's been flushing it. I mean, he's a candidate for 55 greens this week.
He's talking about the short game again, Rick.
I know.
It's important here, Mark. It's important.
We're going to send a wellness check for Greg.
I know. Yeah. Are you being held hostage, Greg? If so, talk about the short game.
I saw Brooks Koepka hit a flop shot the other day.
Somebody called 911.
So yes, it is important here, I believe. Although it's not overly difficult, but you just have a lot of opportunities. So you have to get it up and down. I think he's in a place where he can, and I think he's hitting it well enough to win here.
Well, I will echo that, and I will, I will reiterate my excitement around Brooks Koepka over the course of the next handful of weeks. He's looking better every single time he tees it up. So it's Brooks, it's JT, it's Jacob Bridgman, it's Xander, and it's Victor Hovland as the outright winners for the grid, which leaves us now with just one more thing to do before we get to the fantasy, and that's the one and done. And oh, looky here. Look who's wearing that yellow jersey.
It's not going to go that quickly because he's going to parade for a little while, Greg.
The new leader, just like the Tour de France, gets the yellow jersey. I'll just ride out in front of you losers for a while. But I've got 3.5 million. Mark has 2.7, Mina 2.7, and Gregors has broken through into 7 figs. Congratulations, Greg.
Oh, yeah. And I can't catch you this week.
Thank goodness. I'm safe. I'm safe from the basement for at least one more week. All right, Mina, what do we have? Oh, that was perfect timing.
Wow.
All right, people, get your silhouette guesses in. I know Mark's.
Oh, I think I know Mark's too.
It's subject to check.
I know yours, Rick.
You know mine?
Yep.
I don't know yours.
I can never make these things out.
Mina's. I have a guess on Mina's too.
Mina's looks like Ryan Gerard. He's not playing this week.
And she's
could Mina's be JT?
I guess it could be.
My guess would be JT for Mina, Brooksy for Rick, and Bridgman for Mark.
Mark's is definitely Bridgman. I know those years anywhere. All right. Well, Mina, without further ado, why don't you reveal us, or actually, Greg, why don't you reveal us your one and done?
Yeah. I've decided I'm no longer going to explain myself. I'm just going to tell you. It's Corey Connors.
I did not see
out of 72 greens.
That is very funny. I was laughing when you brought that up. Yeah. He's not going to hit 66 this week, but he may hit 56.
With his short game, that's
I'm not saying anything else.
Okay,
that's 7 over then.
That's fair. Greg is correct. I've gone with Brooks Koepka. That slouchy silhouette is what you get here. I think he's back. I don't know where else I'm going to use him. I think he can win. I think he wants to win. I think he wants to get that first win here under the belt. And game looks fantastic. Mark,
silhouette looks like Bowser.
That's pretty good. Mark, we know those ears are Jacob Bridgman.
They do. They belong to Jacob Bridgman. I will say this. I'm really high on JT. So watch this space.
Beware of a switch.
Exactly. It's the switcheroo, the late Wednesday evening switcheroo. It'll depend on how many wines I've had on Wednesday evening to see if I capitulate and vacillate. There's 2 words for you.
Is it more wines correlate to a switch in a pick, or more wines make you stay?
More wines will make me switch, because as well as JT drove it and putted the ball, I'm still waiting for the wide right one once in a while. So you got to keep it in the fairway around you. And Jacob Bridgman is super accurate, and he's playing with a lot of confidence. He truly is. He's not Jacob Bridgman who made it to the Tour Championship just because he's consistent. He's a guy that this golf course is almost built for, and he's a Southern boy, so he can understand playing from. I don't know if they overseed the rough here. I know they do.
They do.
Okay, well, he understands playing golf in the South.
Bridgman for Mark, and Mina has the silhouette that has at least me all confused. Mina, who is it? Oh,
JT.
Okay, good call, JT.
I am not very good at the silhouette game. I swept that one.
Yeah, well done. JT for Mina. Now, she did send me a note. She said, this is the start of segment 2, and she is going pedal to the metal. I don't know what she was doing in segment 1, because that seems like pedal to the metal to me. But
you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, she is just full throttle, she told me. So, JT out of the gate.
I like it.
Any commentary?
I don't think she's coming on.
All right.
I don't know. Oh.
Hi.
JT.
Listen, he's got a great history here, and his form's looking okay, pretty good. So I think it's a good one, and I don't want to save him for later. And also, I'd like to announce that my other entry in the Splash One and Done is in the money, and I'm in 120 something place. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I told her you can't gloat about your other entry. It's not your. It's like that's like celebrating your 20th bracket. It doesn't matter.
Wait. Has she got 2 entries in this competition?
She has 2 entries in Splash, but one is designated as her second cut entry. So she had Cam Young last week in the other one.
Oh, okay.
But she doesn't get credit for it here, though.
So is this like a Finstagram or something like it? Is that what this is?
It's like a burner account.
Yeah, it's her burner.
Exactly, like a Finsta. All right.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's Connors for Greg. I'm taking Koepka. Mark is taking Bridgman. Mina is taking JT. Mark, any final thoughts before we get you out of here?
Yeah, what is first place this week?
1.7.
That's enough. All right, cool. Love you guys.
It's more than second.
Exactly.
Definitely more than second. See you, Mark. We'll chat soon. All right, Gregor's work to be done.
Let's do it.
Let's do the fantasy section of the show. I've got my my screen queued up here. Now, we're going to go through the tiers, this pricing tiers here, 9K, 8K, 7K, 6K, talk about some more golfers. And there are some names in this field that deserve a talking about. But I asked Greg for his GGOW, Greg's golfer of the week, the one golfer that he cannot live without, the one that after all is said and done reigns supreme. And he told me this week that golfer is
Justin Thomas.
Justin Thomas.
We spent a lot of time talking about him, but I saw something last week. I know Mark was very impressed with the way he looked. I was certainly very impressed with the way he looked at the players, but something changed with his focus, and he got into the heat of it, and he got intense, and he started playing ball. You know, the Justin Thomas, the competitor, came out last week, and now he's going to a place where he has better course history here than anybody else over the last 10 years. So phenomenal record here, obviously. In fact, he started his season at Bay Hill, one of the worst places you could start your season, so he could play here. You know, he didn't want to go 4 in a row, so he said, all right, well, I guess I got to start at Bay Hill because I'm playing Valspar, and I'm obviously playing the players. I think he wants this one. I think he's ready. And like I said earlier, I see no physical limitations. So I don't think there's any reason to back away. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Justin Thomas quickly win.
I did consider him for one and done. I was between,
Me too.
Yeah, I was between Brooks and Bridgman, quite honestly, and JT. And I kind of thought JT and Brooks were in that category of, you know, prolific winner, might just snap off and win this thing that Bridgman has not quite proven yet. Just kind of the raw talent of it. So I did very much consider Justin Thomas this week.
Yeah, I think it's very live. You don't know what you're going to get the rest of the year, and it doesn't feel like there's any rust anymore, which I think is great. I didn't use him in one and done because well, maybe it's because I have the yips picking one and done. Maybe I'd wanted to save him. I'm starting a lot of the guys I was thinking about. I checked and I've used. I'm like, okay, maybe it's time to be smart here. Maybe there's a better option for this week. Like, it's still about the big events. There's enough big events left for me to come back. Let's not panic. That was my thinking. Okay,
well, we'll see how that works out on Sunday night. Now, this one I want to talk more about. It's Xander Schauffele as we get down into this $9K and plus range. He's $10,900 this week. I think, as far as stars go, he is the most difficult star to get right. He, even throughout a golf tournament, he will have stretches where he looks like the 2024 version. And then he'll have a couple holes where I get worried about this. I feel like I'm going to be late on Xander, not because I want to, just because I've got the Xander yips.
I understand that. And you have some finish it like a T24 at the API is not great for Xander, right? It's not what you expect. The reality is it's basically his floor. You know, once he came back and kind of got out of the cut streak, the results have looked a whole lot better. I was perplexed by Saturday's performance with his iron play, kind of out of nowhere. And he answered the bell and came back and was much better with his irons on Sunday. 7.48 strokes he gained approaching the green. He's very good at scrambling after missing fairways. You're going to miss a lot of fairways this week as well. I know it's narrow, but everybody's going to miss fairways, and he's one of the better players from the rough on the PGA Tour. So I love the scrambling ability. I think this is go time for Xander.
The other golfers that are in this range, we've talked a lot about. So it's JT, who is your golfer of the week, Brooks Koepka as well. But I do want to mine into Corey Connors, who is your one and done selection. And I think there's obviously plenty of good stuff here, but I think it's led by this Valspar history. You know, the T16, the T21, the T8, not all of those were the last 3 years, but very well-rounded weeks. And now he comes in, especially in the short game categories, and now he comes in some pretty decent form.
Yeah, he's starting to hit the ball more like Corey Connors. Of course, in Florida, when you have to lean on your ball striking, Corey Connors' ball striking shows up. It's amazing to me how that happens. But I'm very impressed with what he's done tee to green the last couple of weeks. And I don't know, maybe there's something with these greens here because 2 out of the 3 trips here, he has gained strokes putting. And the one time that he lost strokes, he only lost 0.3 and finished T21. So I'm very encouraged by the record, and it feels like he's trending in the right direction. That's why I played him in one and done. I think he's a really nice play in fantasy too. Although I would like to say, Rick, this 9K range, there's really only, like, I probably wouldn't play Ben Griffin. I probably wouldn't play Patrick Cantlay. You could make a case for everybody else. This is maybe Jordan Spieth fits in that category too. Everybody 9K and up, you could play this week.
Corey Connors is $9,000 exactly, so he does give you a little bit more wiggle room than some of those other golfers. The 8K range. This is, we still have a couple of names here that we talked about, but I'm going to start you on the last guy on your outline, Greg, which is Max Homa. And I want to hear your thoughts on kind of the state of Max Homa and what you're expecting from him this week.
Well, you had kind of the slower start to the season, right? T27 at the MX, miscut at Torrey. Phoenix was a T66. Genesis T37. Now you get a T13, T32 the last couple of weeks. It's not terrible. And what I loved that he did at the Players was his iron play was great, and he made a bunch of birdies at the Players. He had some of the craziest scorecards you've ever seen. Now, there's only 9 holes with water in play here at the Valspar. I think it's much more, like, you'll make bogeys, but it's way less penal. It does not mean that it's easy. It's really hard to make birdies, but it's less volatile than TPC Sawgrass. I could see that going a long way for Max Homa, who's clearly got some confidence in the bogeys. I think he'll be able to get away with a little more out here. And then when he makes birdies, he can sustain a run. So I'm very encouraged with him. And I think the price is right at 8,000 flat. I think his profile and his history matches that price.
He's $8,000 flat, so he's bottom of the 8K range. I'm going to take you to the top of the 8K range and show you the stat profile of Nikolai Højgaard, who has made your short list. And Greg, there is just a lot of green here.
Oh, it's like St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, just like it.
It's really incredible. I just don't know why. Now, this guy has 3 top 10s in his last 6 starts. It feels like the finishing positions are not matching the statistical profile. But he's finished top 10 half the time. It's incredible what he's done, how good he is. This is like the Nikolai Højgaard that we expected when he contended at the Masters 2 years ago. That guy is here right now. And you might think, well, this is a great ball striker, and it makes sense to play a ball striker here. But to get back on the short game, it's been 4 straight weeks, gained strokes around the green. It's been, 5 out of the last 6 weeks with the putter. He's gained strokes. He's 21st on tour in strokes gained putting. It's 7th in total. Right? He's complete. So he missed the cut here last year in his only start. This is a different player now.
Speaking of last year, this golfer, I'm just going to show you the results first. T4 here last year, complete gain. T33 the year before that, complete gain. And then I'm going to show you his recent stuff, and oh my Lord, he is a flush. Greg, whose profile am I looking at?
This is.
Do you know?
Oh, is that Rio? I thought Rio's. Yeah, that's it. That's the putting column. Okay,
that's the
that
putting
makes
column.
Sense. Yeah, yeah. Rio has not been putting well last 3 weeks. It's a little concerning, but still, he makes the cut in all these events, even when he doesn't putt well. His floor is very high, very high. I'm really excited about what Rio has going on, and I'm starting to realize that this isn't a hot streak. He's flush, like you said. So very, very encouraged. I think that I'm a little worried about the putter. Putting's important here, but you never know if he's just going to put a new putter in the back and find magic.
Well, and also, like, just be clear, okay, so he's lost significantly in his last 3 starts, still had good results, but he also gained significantly in the 3 before that. Like, we are not very far removed from him having plenty of good putting vibes. He's not a complete disaster. There's no coming back from it.
No, that's true. And it's the most volatile area. He can perform without putting well. I think there's a very good chance that this putting improves this week. I shouldn't say that. There's a chance. There's a very good chance that he hits the ball the way he's been hitting the ball, which gives him a really solid floor.
The 7K range has 3 names in it. First, I'm going to go to this one, Greg, which is Bud Cauley. He is $7,500.
Yeah, I think this is a great price for a guy coming off a T18 and a T32 at the Players. I think T32 at the Players is a pretty darn good finish. He's played well here in the past as well. He's got a couple made cuts. He's got a lot of missed cuts, but T4 last year.
Yeah, last year was awesome.
Right. So this is one of the. How much do you assess the course history here?
The stats say it's very, very volatile.
Okay, so it's like a typical Florida course. It's not sticky.
The stats say so. Actually, I just did 2019, 6 years or whatever. RSM is the least correlated year over year. Players is the second. Valspar is the third.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I wonder why with RSM. Is it because the field changes so much?
Field changes, 2 courses, just like weird. The fall guys. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird.
Yeah, that one stands out because Florida has this tendency where it's just not sticky. If you're playing well, this is what I hear when I hear that. If you're playing well, you'll play well. If you're not, anybody who's a little off will struggle because it tends to be very penal when you miss in the wrong spot. So you got to control your ball. I think Bud Cauley has control of his golf ball right now. I think he's familiar with the golf course. And I think he's a good safe play at $7,500.
Just $100 cheaper is $7,400 Austin Smotherman, Greg, who has complete control of his golf ball, at least when he has to hit it through the air. When he has to roll it, a little bit different.
Yeah. What's interesting, only one of these events, if you're looking, as he lost more than 2 strokes putting. So all of these great finishes that we've seen from Austin, like the T8 at the American Express, the T2 at the Cognizant, the T13 at Sawgrass, in all of them except PGA National, he lost strokes putting doing that. So I think there's again, similar to Ryo Hisatsune, you have a guy who's flushing it. He's going to be in position, and he finds a couple of putts, and he could really challenge. And if he doesn't, it's going to be a very solid week. I love what I'm seeing out of him. I'm not getting into the baby predictions.
Me neither.
I mean, I kind of learned my lesson with the weather forecast last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for guys that are playing well, and Austin Smotherman certainly is.
Yeah, we're just gonna lick our wounds and stay in our lane for a couple weeks and see what happens. Oh, Mina, don't let me forget. I do have a weather thing that I want to ask Greg about, but don't let me forget at the end of the show. Last guy in your 7K range is one Matty Schmid. Talk to me about Matty, please.
Yeah, I just have this feeling that Matty Schmid is hitting the ball better than what his statistics show, because the profile looks pretty bad. But he did finish T9 at PGA National with a really good, perfect game, as you say. Mm-hmm. And then he finished T5 in Puerto Rico, where there's no strokes gained data. And then T46 at the Players, where he had a couple of disaster holes, as many did. So I think that's really affecting the stats. I think we're looking at a guy that for 3 straight weeks has played phenomenal golf. I think his talent level is much higher than what you see before the Florida swing, where it was just a disaster. I think his game's in much better shape, and I think his talent is much higher than that. So I like Matty Schmidt at 7,100.
We're getting to the point where we are running out of guys who played in the Players Championship last week, or even maybe played in Florida at all based on their status. Zach Blair makes your list, Greg. Last time we saw him was Puerto Rico, T8, and a lot of decent results outside of that, even if they are kind of spread out across time and tour.
Yeah, he doesn't have the opportunities that you'd like to see, but I'm just looking at this. I find this to be interesting. So Zach Blair's iron play has been stellar seemingly every time he's teed it up. Going back to like the RBC Canadian Open last year. It's been like 9 months of really good ball striking. You look at his record here, and he has one good finish. He has a T10 in 2023. He's never once gained strokes approaching the green here at the Valspar. I think there's a good chance that changes. And if that changes, I think all of a sudden you take advantage of the solid putting he's had at the Valspar, and I think you get a great performance. Also, for a guy that doesn't have a whole lot of clubhead speed, he's been beating the field with the driver as well. I mean, he didn't at the Sony Open, but quite a few events before that he did. I think he's playing well, and I think this golf course will allow Zach Blair to compete.
Yeah, it's a lack of opportunity, not a lack of playing well when he has the opportunity for Zach Blair. Let's go to another Zach. This one is 6,700, and his last name is Boshu. What do you like about this one?
Well, I think he's a lot better than a lot of his peers in this range, which is really the primary thing. The 6K range is not very pleasing when you look at it. But you look at Zach Boshu coming off of, well, he's made every cut this season. And he's hit the ball really well, especially with his irons, and drove it pretty well last week at the Players. His putting has been pretty good. His short game has been pretty good. There's a lot of green on this profile for a guy that's 6,700. It's just not elite yet. You know, he's picking up a shot in every category, means you gain 3 shots to the field. That puts you somewhere, borderline top 25. And that's kind of where I think Zach Boshu is, but I do think he's a cut maker.
One man remaining. He is $6,700, and it would not be a fantasy show if he didn't make an appearance. Greg, who is it?
It's Adam Hadwin.
A week for the Canadians.
Yep, not bad, eh?
Not bad.
Yeah, this is, some people on Twitter do those guys that I'm picking that you shouldn't kind of thing.
This is that.
This is one of those. He has the second best course history here of anybody over the last 10 years. He's played very well here. Although it has been up and down, to your point on the volatility. And I don't think he's playing all that bad. He did miss the cut at the Cognizant when he had a chance. He came in second in his lone Corn Ferry Tour start.
Yeah.
Tied 21st in Puerto Rico. I think there's still a little life here.
I think there is too. And the fact that he's even willing to be out there is when he doesn't have to be. I'm sure the dude's got plenty of time and plenty of money to not grind Puerto Rico and Panama and whatever else. So good on you, Adam Hadwin. Still thinks he's got plenty of game left, and I think he does too. Okay, Mina, can you drop that out, please? That would be splendid if you could. Greg, here was the thing I forgot to ask you about. So we got an email. We got an email to the Second Cut email. And I'll leave his name out, but it says, "Hey, guys, been enjoying your podcast. Would you want a meteorologist to join you for a few minutes pre-event? I would love to help. This person runs basically the business entity for a weather company, I don't know what to call it, a weather company. And he is offering up one of their meteorologists to provide a Second Cut, golf forecast for the week, which I think could be interesting. And also, then we can blame that guy if things go wrong.
Yes. Yes. Just what I need. Because I'm looking at all my weather sites last week, and I look at them again afterwards. I didn't misread anything. It just didn't happen that way.
It just didn't happen. Right.
Yeah. And it happened kind of the other way. So it was very disappointing and stressful. I just find the weather forecasting to be fascinating for golf events. Mm-hmm. So that's a very curious, intriguing offer to me. I love that idea.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know, like, listen, it might be hard to schedule a meteorologist live at 5:00 every Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if maybe they are. I guess weather's kind of the 24-hour thing. Maybe somebody is sitting around ready to do that. But you know what I like is I like the PGA Tour forecasts, right? Where they show you what it's going to be like today, and they tell you basically how it's going to impact in a golf sense, right? Not in a weather or I'm going to the beach sense, like in a golf sense. Like the wind is going to do this, and then it's going to change, and there's going to be a chance. Like it's very golf related.
If you're going to the beach, you don't really care about if the wind's going to be 12-mile-an-hour gusts or 16-mile-an-hour gusts,
or if it's going to change direction in the middle of the day. I don't care.
Right? No, never thought about that until you play golf. Then that's all you care about. I don't care if it's going to rain. Where's the wind?
Right. So I like that, but the tour releases those like the morning of and only for that day. What we need is like somebody on Tuesday to give us one of those reports that we can share for the week.
Yes.
Now, obviously,
Thursday,
we know that,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right. You can use all your fancy tech and write a couple sentences about how it's going to impact it golf-wise.
Yeah. Like, what are there any microclimates to be aware of? Because these things pop up, and sometimes it's very local.
And we can say, hey, this is from John Doe at whatever his thing is. And if you want more information and other forecasts for your local region, I don't know, whatever else they want us to pitch.
Yeah. Oh, I'm all in on weather. Taking myself out of the research equation on the weather would be very helpful. And actually, more importantly, someone that knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Would be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think we're gonna have to follow up on that.
Put it on the list.
Put it on the board. Yes. Okay. Anything else, Gregors?
I think that's all I got. Should be windy. This looks like it's going to be pretty windy this week.
Oh, what are you doing? We just said we're not going to do this.
No wave advantage, just windy. Okay, that's all I'm giving you.
There will be wind in Florida.
There will be wind. Yes, I'm not looking at tee times.
An amount, TBD, a direction. Who knows? But there will be wind.
Yep.
All right. We will leave it at that. We'll be back Friday. We'll be back Sunday for the rest of the Valspar Championship. Big thanks, producer Mina. She does all the hard work behind the scenes. Greg DuCharme. I'm Rick Gehman. This has been The Second Cut. We'll catch you next time.